Hi everybody, I am back from Empire. I've been back from Empire for a while, and today is the Empire recap video, and this time with added puppets. Disclaimer, puppets are not actual representations of people, but they are drawn from memory, so enjoy. First things first, if you don't know what Empire is, I'm going to post a lovely video by Holly Gee in the doobly-doo below. It explains everything you need to know about Empire in beautiful animation, and it's whimsical and lovely. Watch it. On with the show. So this is all told from my character's point of view, Cassie. So we enter the scene. Cassie and Betsy are arguing because their coach broke down and they're late and it's all gone funny and Miriam is still missing and all that jazz. They find Kajoran sitting on a little tree stump, and he ends up following them around everywhere to the Marcher camp to try and find what Lambrook is currently missing with Betsy. With Betsy it was Miriam, and so they need to find out where they've gone and if they're back yet. So they kind of argue, wander through the Empire crowds until they get to the Badger place. I can't remember what the Badger people are called, but that's what is part of the Badger people. Betsy's all like, have you seen what? Where's what? He's got Miriam and he lured Miriam into the modern world and lots of Betsy angst. And then Cassie's like, oh Mary, don't be so angry. No, oh Betsy, don't be so angry. And John's just like, why am I following these people? And so that happens for ages. And eventually I think they get back to House de Gavon. This is not an accurate representation of House de Gavon. And so they always kind of run around there for a little bit. They come across Grumpy Uncle Rob, and they chat and have family things, but they're still looking for Miriam. Miriam's still missing. So there's a lot more running around, a lot more going to the Marcher camp, and lots more shouting at people, and probably missing a few things. Cassie tries to sell her cakes, and they continue running around. Oh wait, no, he doesn't run around. Kajon runs around. And eventually Kajon fucks off drinking. Or he goes in a different direction. I can't remember. He spent a lot of time drinking, if I remember, but he enjoyed himself. So eventually, there is rumour that Mr. Lambrook has been found. And so they find him, and along with crazy Uncle Blood. He's not even an uncle. He's from Babushka, but he's actually a marcher, because he'd rather prefer to be in the marcher, because in Marcherland, you can go outside to pee without worrying about your dick being eaten off by a massive beast. So that all happens. Actually, he may have been running around with us earlier. Oh, also, all before this as well, Cassie D met up with the lovely, oh my god, what is your name? Estella. She met up with Estella and sold cakes, because Estella does lovely tours of Anvil. So she's like, oh, I'm so sorry, Emily. I've been looking around for my sister Miriam, and I can't find Miriam, blah, 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 blah. And she goes on a little whaley thing that she sells some cakes. And then we get to, we find Mr. Lambrook, and then I believe Betsy shouts, what are you doing, or something, and then they walk along towards Dornish camp, because apparently Miriam's been spotted. During that walk, Betsy clunks him on the nose, and the bumblebee comes along and gives him a traumatic wound. And it's like, oh my god, you just punched Mr. Lambrook in the face. And they all get back to House de Gavon, where lovely Miriam is waiting. And the sisters are like, oh my god, where's Betsy gone? And it's like, oh, hug, lovely hug times. And then the shouting begins, because Mr. Lambrook comes along, and all goes to pot, because after punching his nose, Betsy steals his hat. And Betsy takes his hat and then puts it in a fire. And Mr. Lambrook's hat has been burnt. And it is more tragic than the fact his nose has been broken. And moving on from that particular debacle, Miriam's like, I missed you so much. Oh my god, it's been terrifying. I've been in the Mon World. And they're like, oh, we missed you too. And then it's time for the reading of Mother's will, because before all this, a mother died. So they're sitting down reading the will. And all of Mother's children get something, apart from Betsy. Betsy's name appears to have been burnt out of the will. Or at least what she's got been burnt out of the will. And then begins all the drama. And they have like a fight. And then she goes that way. And she's like, ah. And then there's more just wandering around with lots of angst. So he goes find somewhere to drink. I think he meets up with this guy maybe, I don't know. He keeps appearing. This is brother. He just appears drunk now and again. He's a Turkish militia Navari. So he goes off to go drinking. Miriam's doing important Miriam things. I think at this point, Cassie and Uncle Rob go to Conclave to sell their goods. And Uncle Rob gives Cassie a lesson in how Mother was a complete slattern. And Cassie takes it surprisingly well. So they're all running over the place, you know, lots of drama's happened. It kind of chills off for a bit. I don't know, Vlad's just doing Vladdy things. And so, you know, now and again you just hear a huge scream of Betsy performing, and something like that. And that just kind of continues for a while. But they're still really, really angry at each other. And I think Betsy at one point shouted at Cassie, "Stop following me!" And then Cassie gets really upset and it's like, "The family has been ripped apart!" So stuff happens throughout the day. I think there was a dramatic point where Cassie was waiting for Miriam to finish at House de Gavain, but suddenly they get called on duty and Miriam's like, "I've got to go help!" And she goes help. And Cassie's like, "Oh no, what do I do?" And so she begins just wandering around trying to find people. Whoops. Trying to find people. And she comes across Betsy. And Betsy is sat around in the Leaguer camp with this guy. This is, I don't know his name. I can't remember his name. And she's like, "Oh, Betsy, hello." And Betsy's like, "Oh, hello, Cassie." And then Betsy's like, "You know, Cassie, you better let everybody know I'm having such a lovely time." And Cassie's like, "Oh, okay." And then brother appears and he's drunk and he just now and again just falls asleep. And he wakes up again and he falls asleep. He goes, "Oh, it's my turn to buy a round." He buggers off and buys everybody drinks. And then it gets a bit weird and they're all like, "Woo!" And then Cassie's like, "Oh my god." And then Betsy loses all her innocence. Because in the morning she sneaks out of his tent and he struts out of his tent. And it's all happened because they did the scoodly pooping. And yes, that was Friday. Saturday included more baking, more selling of cakes to the lovely tour group. A lot of running around the Brass Coast for Cassie. A couple of nice walks with Uncle Rob, touring the town, enjoying the sights of Anvil. And then later on, I believe, these two meet up again and go for a nice walk. And then they see a really fun tug of war in the marches and they start cheering everything. I believe the militia are looking for, where'd she go? Betsy, because she's been charged with the ruining of Mr. Watt Lambrook's hat. Where did Mr. Watt Lambrook go? There we go, Mr. Watt Lambrook's hat and punching his face. So charges of assault and destruction of property. I think also during the day, Cassie finds Betsy in the Brass Coast with a lovely priest of vigilance called Lumi, and Lumi gives Betsy some goose whisper, and Betsy's like, "Ooh, ooh," and she's like really high now, and she's like going, "I'm seeing things." So they kind of just float around. And she floats around under the guidance of lovely Lumi and pulls around. And then Cassie spends most of her day in the Brass Coast chatting with Lumi, also chatting with the lovely Granny Sky. And they have lots of lovely chats and eat biscuits and drink lots of tea in the Brass Coast. The Brass Coast is fantastic. And then I believe what happens next. I think I know what happens. Eventually everybody ends up going back to Dawn, I believe. So everybody goes back to Dawn. Dawn, like literally everybody. Watt Lambrook, Vlad, Uncle Rob's there. Dawn, I'm pretty sure, is chilling out there. Yeah, I think everybody's chilling out at Dawn because Yale is there. Yale is like, "Ooh, I was the first empress in a past life. I am the rightful heir to the throne of Dorm," and everyone's like, "Nah, fuck off." And then there's an awesome like little tournament where people are all fighting. So there's a group fighting for the current empress to be the Queen of Dawn. There's a group fighting for no one to be the Queen of Dawn, and then nobody really showed up to fight for Yale to be the Queen of Dawn. So the huge fight is like, and it's like, "Way! Elizabeth has team won because Elizabeth is the best, and then there was a cool tournament where Elizabeth kind of came in swinging a sword, and it was all grand. And then the Navarre came along, and they're the reason for the tug of war and the marches, because Navarre are celebrating their welcoming of spring. And so they have a lovely tug of war in the Dornish camp, and the Navarre win! And then there's lots of dancing, and everybody's having a grand old time. Now, I believe also on Saturday, if I am correct, was the trial of Betsy. This will have to go down as legend, I'm pretty sure, because it's one of the most ridiculous trials I've ever seen in my life. Oh, but before all that, Vladimir gets kicked out of Dawn for making some sort of problem happen, and they're like, get out of Dawn. Then Mr. Watt Lambert is banned from House de Gavain for possibly inappropriately trying to pursue Miriam. I'm not terribly sure. And then we will get to Betsy's trial. Oh, so many people were at this trial. He was just watching. She was also watching. She was like almost like her lawyer. I bet she regrets it. It's some sort of like religious thing. I can't remember now. And what was there? And Vlad was testifying as well. And it was all sort of a mess in general because Betsy got held for contempt in her own trial for talking too much. And then the glorious moment happens when Betsy screams, "Glory and justice!" And justice is a false virtue. And loads of people, like Cassie had to step out. Miriam was just like, what? And she was just like probably banging her head. And Vlad was just rolling on the floor laughing. Betsy was also rolling on the floor laughing at what she said and has been deemed crazy. And I don't know where he went. And he was just like, what's happening? What's happening? And Granny Sky went, and I think he just gave up. And everybody was just like, oh my god, Betsy is a justice heretic. And it all went nuts from there. But on the plus side, Cassidy got invited to the Orcs night of Worth, which was fantastic, good fun, listening to stories. She listened to a lot of stories, I believe, that night, and lots of sing-songs. I think Cassie at one point went on a nice little sort of mini sort of pub camp crawl with a crowd of people that involved a few nice people. And that's not even Cassie, that's Miriam. A few nice people, had a nice wander around. And so that's the incoherence of Saturday. Saturday was a really confusing day, and it felt like 2 days. And it was a very long one. And Cassie also had lots of lovely dancing and more singing around the fires. She met up with Miriam right during the night of Worth, and then there was a sad moment where somebody from House de Gavain died. So that was quite a solemn occasion for Miriam. And then, is that how can we conclude Saturday? My god, Saturday had a lot of stuff. What else happened on Saturday? Too many things happened on Saturday. That's all I know, just lots of stuff on Saturday. And yeah, it was all very whirlwindy. And then on Sunday, it was pretty much just these two just having a good old chitter-chat. Because the sun was too bloody hot and everybody had died. Not actually died, but it was just so hot everybody melted. And I think that is the best I could do. Oh wait, no, last thing that happened on Sunday. The beautiful Estella and Cassie had a good conversation where Cassie had a lovely ritual cast on her House de Gavain, where she had the Lure of Distant Shores, and she's like, oh my goodness, Estella, excellent timing, I need to know lots of information, I need to go places. And then Estella takes Cassie to the beautiful House de Zeal, where House de Zeal teach her all about the Brass Coast, and Cassie is now going to go on a lovely cruise with House de Zeal once she sent them a letter down the Brass Coast before she begins her trade journey to beyond the Empire. And that, I believe, is my incoherent summary of Empire. I'm gonna go lie down. See you next time.